Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to party? That's right. This is your host, Christian Hannah Hara. And today we have the beautiful and talented from the Off the Grill podcast. You can find it right here on YouTube. You can find it on Anchor. You can find him on Spotify. You can find him on iTunes. You can find him down the street by your mama's house. Steak Sauce. What's up, brother?
Hey, yo. What's going on, guys?
Sauce, is glad to have you back, man. When I decided for the 20th episode to cover, I was going to cover my favorite movie. I said, well, I know somebody else whose favorite movie this is. And it's, but I said they need to come back. They need to come back because I need somebody else. Because Nick is, first of all, Nick, you're always here.
Yeah.
You're last but not least. Nick, how are you doing in Halloween land over there?
Yeah, I know. I need some variation. Man, I'm good. I can't complain.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you actually prepped for this episode. You've just watched Return to the Living Dead for fourth, fifth time, maybe? Or
it was. I've seen it a handful of times because I really liked it when I was a kid. I don't know if I should have been watching it as a kid, but I just got done watching it about an hour ago, probably for the first time in like 10 years. But I was reminded of why it's one of my favorite zombie movies. So yeah, I'm glad it's fresh on my mind.
And before we get into the movie, let's just kind of get some pleasantries out of the way. Sauce, dude, how has everything been going on your end?
Same old same. Do a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Wow, descriptive. Hell yeah, I like it.
My camera broke, unfortunately. I don't know what's wrong with it, so you don't get to look at my ugly face, but that actually might be a positive.
So I've been meaning to ask you, Sauce, did you commission that artwork for your podcast, the zombie guy eating the chicken leg?
No, I did that.
Really, dude, that's bad. I didn't.
I didn't do it.
Son of a bitch.
No, a friend of mine, probably 10 years ago or close to, I started writing for a startup wrestling news site, and it'd be like news and columns, and towards the end of its existence, there were podcasts and shit. But I did a rebooking column, I guess, and I commissioned it in so far as I asked someone to do it, but I didn't pay for it. But that was just that, and I since repurposed it. So
I always dug that, man. It looks good on a t-shirt, which you can buy at the
offthegrill.store.
I love how he just knew exactly where I was going with it. But I am glad to have you here, Sauce. We're gonna get rolling to this film. Nick, how has everything been going in Ohio?
It's cold as balls, man. It was like 34 degrees this morning. I had ice on my car. It seems like we skip fall and we go right into winter. But yeah. Aside from that, it's fine.
We're still doing all right in Louisiana right now. The weather's actually really good. There is a tiny window of good weather, and we're at the tail end of it. Once the humidity kicks in with this cold weather, it's going to be like, it's just going to suck. It's just going to suck, damn it. And
so just to throw the old Western New York weather out there, it's currently raining. Within the hour, that's going to turn to snow.
Oh, nice.
And then by Saturday into Sunday, we'll be back in the 50s for a week. And then, it drops down to fucking awful 30-degree, miserable, makes me want to just sit in bed and cry weather. So,
well, hey, I appreciate New York last week taking care of the Bungles for me. Thanks, man.
Oh man, that is the happiest I've been to the Jets win in probably 2 years.
I was happy about it too.
Oh, Jesus. Really quick, before we get started, last thing I'll say is, so if you're listening to this on Spotify or if you're watching the YouTube video for this right now, I added this as a tier for my $3 and up patrons. I've been trying to find something special for you guys. you have the ability, you could be watching it live right now, to watch the live recordings of these podcast episodes. The perks of this is getting to see some ridiculously embarrassing stuff, like people bursting into Nick's room and yelling at him in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
Basically that.
My wife's at work though, so she's off the table. She won't be bursting in, but yeah.
If you guys could have seen the unedited version of the Trick or Treat movie podcast, you'd have thought it was like, if it was Sauce, if it was like wrestling, it was like the music was hitting mid promo every time Nick talked and somebody came to interrupt Nick, and the lights would go out.
I was not in her good graces that night, and she was pissed off that I was doing a podcast. So she kept coming in like, "What the fuck? Come on!" And
it was funny. And I was trying to no sell it and just keep talking, but eventually I was like, God damn, let me just let her finish cutting the promo on him, and then I'll see how much time we have left.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Really quick too, shout out to a friend of mine, supporter of the channel, named Matt, who sent me for Halloween this amazing Return of the Living Dead shirt from Terror Threads. They've got some killer designs. I love this shirt. I love that it's got Tarman front and center. Great design. Thank you so much. Just proud to wear it for this episode. I'm ready to get started. So if you guys know me, you know my favorite movie, not favorite horror movie, not favorite zombie movie. My favorite movie is Return of the motherfucking Living Dead. And I usually don't swear like this, but when a movie like this is getting talked about, I need you guys to understand how much I love this movie. I want to talk with each other about the first time seeing this movie and hearing about this movie. And we're going to move kind of throughout the film and some of the peripheral things about Return of the Living Dead. I'll start. I'll never forget when I first started getting into horror. I at the same time was a retro video game kind of guy, and my brother turned me on to James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd. And then I found he had a website called Cinemassacre. And I remember James did reviews of horror movies, but it wasn't like Halloween 3, Halloween 4. The first 3 movie reviews I ever saw from James back in like 2009 was Fright Night 1985, and I immediately went to FYE after he showed the review for that movie and bought it. Della Morte Dell'Amore, also known as The Cemetery Man from 1994, a great movie. I went out and bought that. And then he did Return of the Living Dead. And I'll never forget when I first heard the title, I was thinking, that I don't know. That sounds like a cheap spinoff kind of thing. I'm sure it's, I don't know. The title is so, what's the word I'm looking for? When you hear the title Return of the Living Dead, it doesn't just shoot out to you as this movie is going to be amazing. It's almost like I can't think of the word I'm looking for in my head. It's just
impressive.
That's a fair one. It's almost like a little unbecoming, unimpressive. It's just like Return of the Living Dead. Okay, so it's of the Living Dead spinoff.
Yeah,
kind of
it
movie.
seems very contrived.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so when I watched the review of the movie, James Rolfe is like, this movie has no business being this good. I mean, this movie is energetic. This movie has such well-developed characters. It's the most punk rock movie ever. And we're going to talk about that. And so I immediately go to FYE and I bought the MGM DVD release it's got the original poster art on it. And I watched the movie before I pretty much watched the Night of the Living Dead remake or Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead. I watched Return first, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is amazing. So I've loved this film from day one, but it would be years before I started falling in love with everything about Return of the Living Dead. And we'll get into that more. Sauce, we'll take it over to you real quick, man. What does day one of Return of the Living Dead look like with you?
Well, to talk about this, unfortunately, I have to talk about the sequel first. Because growing up, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever, the sequel was always on Sci-Fi. Like, very often you'd catch a weekend block of that in the third one. So I always just thought, Return of the Living Dead Part 2 as a joke. Because, especially once you see the movie, it's clearly more comedic than it is horrific. So okay, it's like one of the. It's like the Saturday the 14th. Or I Know What You Did Last Friday the 13th. One of those like spoof movies. Okay, whatever. I'll go with it. Did not know that there was an actual Return of the Living Dead until I was 15, I think, 14 or 15. Happened to just catch it on like the movie channel. Fell in love immediately. Like it completely just stole my heart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so crazy because like had I not like by happenstance caught that, I would never have seen that movie. I don't think. I mean, maybe eventually, but like I had such a Return of the Living Dead Part 2. Okay, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. But and to think that those movies are so dissimilar in tone.
Yeah.
It's shocking too. Like because you go in, okay, whatever. Maybe it'll be all right. Fucking knock me on my ass.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine, especially seeing Part 2 before Part 1. Nick, you want to take us to day 1, Return of the Living Dead?
If I remember correctly, I've shouted him out a million times. Again, it's my buddy Tommy who's responsible for a lot of these movies that in genres, subgenres that I got into, and he's a George A. Romero guy. Zombies are his thing, always have been, and so I got a lot of zombie movies kind of pushed onto me growing up from him, where some of the good ones, some of the really bad ones, but I saw Dawn of the Dead, the remake. 04's Dawn of the Dead was like the first zombie movie I probably ever saw, and I loved it. And he had all of these of the Dead movies, and Day of the Dead, we watched that, and then he was like, Return of the Living Dead, and I, same as you, I immediately thought like, is this one of those like, it's not a sequel, but it's like, Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Dead, Living Dead, blah, 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 blah. So I thought that, and he's like, no, you don't have to have seen anything before this.
Right.
And I remember watching it like for the first time. I was probably like 10 or 11. It scared the crap out of me. Like, I'm not even going to lie. And like the thing that stood out to me was like, I always knew zombies as like brains, like they wanted to eat brains, and you never saw that. You always saw zombies just biting people and eating their flesh, and you absolutely get some brains eaten in this movie. Yeah. And it really kind of takes you back, because if you haven't seen a lot of zombie movies like that, which I had not at the time, I'm just like, this is disgusting. And there's stuff I want to get into, as we go throughout the movie. But yes, that is like the first thing that stands out to me when I remember this. The first like bite into a head, and you're like, oh shit, they're like going for it. Like, yeah, it was. But yeah, I remember really liking it, but it did scare me. It definitely scared me. And there's a few moments we'll talk about later on that are the reasons why I was scared of this movie. But yeah, it was really fun to revisit it tonight. Really, really fun. My son, I sent Christian a video. No one tell his mother. She doesn't watch the podcast, so she'll never know. He was watching it. This almost 2-year-old standing there at the TV. I sent Christian a video. He's standing there drinking his juice, just watching.
Drinking his juice.
Yeah. So, hey, he approved. I approved. It was fun.
Let me kind of set the table for a little bit of history with this film. Here's the concept on Return of the Living Dead, and this is kind of setting the tone for what was going on at the time and how this movie came to fruition. Obviously, Living Dead was sparked mainstream with Night of the Living Dead from George Romero and crew. The film's roots is from a novel by John Russo called Return of the Living Dead. When Russo and George Romero parted ways after Night of the Living Dead in 1968, Russo retained the rights to any title featuring Living Dead, while Romero was free to create his own series or sequels, beginning with Dawn of the Dead. Russo and producer Tom Fox planned to bring Return of the Living Dead to the screen and be directed by Tobe Hooper. There are still moments where I envision what this film could have been like with Tobe. Not that I would change history by any means, but it is important to note that Tobe wanted to do the film and eventually had to say no because Canon had other plans for him, and he was filming, I believe it was Life Force, which is an absolutely batshit movie. If you haven't seen Life Force, it's probably one of the greatest Canon films ever made. So Dan O'Bannon was brought in to give the script a polish after Hooper backed out to make Life Force, and he was offered the director's seat. This was his first big film he directed, Dan O'Bannon. He accepted the role on the condition that he could rewrite the film radically as to differentiate it from Romero's films, because I believe Russo's. I have the novel. Somebody gifted me the novel, but the novel is, for more or less, a sequel-ish to the original movie. This film was the first production design credit for William Stout, who was a legend in the business, and this movie just shows that the guy knew how to produce a film. Who would go on to produce movies like Conan the Barbarian, among other big franchise films. The appearances of zombies in this film was inspired by the mummies of Guanajuato, Mexico, and the bog people of Wales, as well as artwork from EC Comics. The stories featured 2,4,5-trioxin chemical developed by the Darrow Chemical Company for the military, was a play on the real-life Dow Chemical Company and its involvements in the 1960s with the manufacturing of Agent Orange, scientifically known by the name 2,4,5-T-dioxin, and used in the U.S. military's Operation Ranch Hand and Canada's CFB Gagetown Canadian Forces bases in rural New Brunswick during the Vietnam War as a powerful defoliant, which a defoliant is some kind of herbicidal chemical spray that's put on plants and stuff that I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably freak out when they know that their food gets sprayed with chemicals. Return of the Living Dead makes a lighter purpose up for his chemical usage, with characters Frank suggesting that it was being sprayed on cannabis crops in the 1960s. So very interesting to know that George and John Russo parted ways, and there was a legend that the guys, it was not a good splitting. But Russo is very adamant, and Romero, I'm sure, has talked about it maybe before, but I'm not sure. But Russo was very adamant that it was a peaceful parting of the ways. Russo has always stated that him and George were always fine, and George wanted Russo to make his Living Dead, and Russo always wanted George to go do his thing. But it was always a big thing that the guys hated each other, but, I'm sure, if it makes a good story, that's why it gets rumored like that. So,
yeah, I'm positive I've seen or heard interviews with Romero saying that, it's silly.
Yeah.
It was more or less they split up and they kind of ahead of the curve took care of the legal stuff, so that they wouldn't have to deal with it post, production or whatever.
So with Return of the Living Dead, it's interesting to note that Dan O'Bannon, and I wonder, I think it does say a lot to Russo as just, as be a humble guy to have, Russo wanted to direct this film. I think Russo initially, they didn't really talk about it much on Wikipedia, but from a lot of the documentaries I've watched, Russo was going to kind of step in to direct when I think Hooper kind of bailed out of the project. But Tom Fox really championed O'Bannon when he came into the fold to look at stuff. And I think O'Bannon just absolutely hated what Russo's screenplay looked like, which I feel bad for Russo because he's such a lovable guy, especially when you see John in the documentaries. But I mean, it says a lot for Russo to come in and just, say, screw it. This guy's got a good pitch and you guys believe in it. What the hell? It was the right call. But when we talk about Return of the Living Dead being punk rock, from day one, what is more punk rock than, Dan O'Bannon coming in and saying, this sucks, I'm doing this shit my way. You know what I mean?
And I mean, not for nothing. I mean, you said someone gifted you that novel. Have you read it?
Not yet. No, I haven't read it. Is it shitty?
It has potential, I suppose. If they had made that movie or anything close to it, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it.
Wow. That's interesting.
A lot of it dealt with like a town. Survival of the Dead is similar story wise, which that's not a great movie, but it dealt with them kind of coming to terms with, well, we just got to live with these things and figure out what to do with them. I didn't read the whole. It was kind of a bad novel. I didn't finish it, but
I'll be damned.
Yeah. So like I'd never heard the talk of Russo stepping in to direct. So when I hear things like that, I'm like, oh God, we dodged a bullet.
Yeah, and based on what Russo says, it could have been maybe a little bit more in his own mind than what the actual producers and stuff wanted. But on the Scream Factory Blu-ray, which is probably one of the best releases Scream Factory ever did, they packed that movie. They packed it to the gills, and everybody complains that Friday the 13th doesn't have Crystal Lake Memories, and everybody's saying when they do Nightmare box set, it better have Never Sleep Again. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? When they put out Return of the Living Dead from Scream Factory, they put More Brains, the documentary, in the release.
Oh yeah.
But how about this? I'm about to list off the cast of this movie, and I want Nick, I want Sauce, if you guys can, to tell me your favorite cast member or character from the film. So this is the cast as follows listed. Clu Gallagher as Bert, James Karen as Frank, Don Calfa as Ernie Kaltenbrunner, Tom Matthews as Freddie, got Beverly Randolph as Tina, Miguel A. Nunez as Spider, John Philbin as Chuck, Jewel Shepard as Casey, Brian Peck, Linnea Quigley as Trash, Mark Venturini, rest in peace to the great Mark Venturini, as Suicide, and Jonathan Terry as Colonel Glover. I'm going to start. Without question, my favorite character in this movie, without question, is Don Calfa as Ernie. I love Don Calfa in this movie. The mortician. I love his timing. I love his reactions. He is money in this movie. Nick, favorite character from Return of the Living Dead and why?
For me, I think it's Bert. And I actually really love like all of his scenes with Ernie. I think that they mesh really well on screen together and bounce off each other really nicely. And I liked Frank too, but I think Bert, just because I feel like he commanded a scene when he was on screen, like I feel like he always seemed like he was kind of in control of what he was doing. And from the first moment you see him, like when they're talking about the fucking reanimated corpse that's in the freezer, he's just like losing his shit over it while also trying to figure out, okay, what the hell am I going to do about this, and pacing back and forth and just talking a mile a minute. Like your introduction to him, you're just like, oh, this dude can act, man. I like this guy. And I just feel like you just commanded a sense of respect almost. And I don't know, in every scene he was in. So I would probably say Bert.
Not to mention, really quick, before we get to Sauce, he has the classic grandpa laugh. You remember the part where he goes, he's getting ready to go home for his 4th of July party he's having the next day. And he goes, all right, boys, just remember, whatever you do, don't name it after me. He's got that grandpa laugh as he walks away. Great choice. Great choice. Sauce, take it away, man. Favorite character from Return of the Living Dead and why?
Actually, a little annoyed because I was hoping to get to give him the final spotlight, but I got to go with Bert. I mean, Clu Gallagher's incredible in anything I've ever seen him in. And to talk about his acting, I mean, he's the only cat that wasn't on the set to rehearse like the rest of the cast was. He was kind of a last-minute casting. I think they had designs of getting Leslie Nielsen into that role, which I think would have hurt the movie, frankly. Nothing against Leslie Nielsen, but I mean, Clu Gallagher was perfect for Bert. Anything different, I wouldn't say anything less, but anything different would have totally screwed things up. But you can't tell that he wasn't there for all like the staging in the rehearsals. He looks like he's been a part, and it's a lot of the movie. Not to get too far off topic, but it feels real, like there's people talking over people, and it's not just you say a line and I'll say a line. And he was able just to kind of walk right into that, like seamlessly. It's fantastic.
Do you have any standout lines from Clue in the movie?
You moron, you idiot. Haven't I told you not even to go near those goddamn tanks?
What about you, Nick? Any favorite lines?
I was
going
to say the same thing.
I
laugh my ass off when he says that.
I love that. Whatever you guys do, don't name it after me.
Yeah.
I love it. So it's an ensemble cast. I think when you look at a movie like Return of the Living Dead, the individuality of everybody in this film is just remarkable. Everybody has moments and lines that give them life in this film. It's truly like there's probably only a handful of films, in my opinion, that can do it that well. And that's what you get when you have a talented writer. I mean, Nick, do you realize that Dan O'Bannon wrote Alien? This is the writer of Alien. So, I mean,
I did not know that.
The talent from Dan O'Bannon is Dan is a legend. Dan worked with John Carpenter before John was famous on a science fiction movie. They worked together for on a college project, and it was a little science fiction movie that they did that got critical praise. And Dan has always been a talented guy. He's very eccentric from what we learned about in a lot of these documentaries. Sauce, do you want to share the story about Beverly Randolph meeting Dan O'Bannon for the first time?
So apparently he called her over to discuss lines. I don't remember the pretext as to why she went over to his house, but she walks in and he's nowhere to be found. She's standing in like the living room kitchen area, and on the television is just porn. I don't think she, she's a polite lady, so I don't think she really went into detail at all as to what kind. But I figure, just mid-'80s kind of, sideburns on the dick still kind of thing. But and also there were, I believe she said, several guns just laying on the table.
This is an array of weaponry.
Yeah, she just went, well, I'll see him tomorrow somewhere. I'm gonna just peace out here.
And she ran out. She said she ran out the house.
Yeah.
And apparently they re-met up or something, but I mean, it's funny when you look at the character of Tina and Beverly in the movie. There's not much acting going on because Tina's a very, she's like a flower child girl. Oh, not a flower child girl. She's just like a nice, prim and proper
it doesn't
girl.
Seem like movie. She belongs. Like she seems like she's only there because she's dating Freddie. She found herself the bad guy and.
Yeah,
has to kind of slum it, so to speak.
But Freddie still seems like the bad guy that is the teddy bear on the inside kind of thing, and maybe she brought up the teddy bear and Freddie. When it comes to Tom Matthews as well, I mean, we could talk about Tom for a second. I mean, him and James Karen work off of it's like the duo you never thought would work so well. But when you look at the opening scene of the film, when Freddie is working at the Uneeda medical supply, and the scene where Frank takes him into the office, and Frank starts talking about the dead bodies and the corpses, and have you ever seen that movie, Night of the Living Dead? I mean, that scene, every line, you're hung on Frank so much. He's James Karen, who actually just passed away a few years ago. He lived to be an old man. God bless him. I mean, so riveting. I love, and one of my favorite moments, of course, is when James gets a call by the wife, and he's like, "Kiss, kiss, honey. Keep the pot, keep the pot
roast hot."
Which I wonder if that was in the script, like the kiss kiss. I feel like that's just James Karen, but also Dan's a great writer. Maybe he wrote it, but I don't know. I just feel, those moments are so funny. I don't know. I love everything about this movie, but I never want the opening first few sequences to end. I just think they are brilliantly written, so entertaining.
And it's just so mundane. Also, it's just, all right, I'm going to take you. Here's the skeletons. You dump this shit in the thing here. But like you said,
dogs.
Yeah. All skeletons come from India.
And then as he's teaching him, he goes, we need an F skeleton PT. So that's F for what? Female. Female. Very good. He's talking to Frank. He's talking to Freddy like he's just like an idiot.
Yeah. I bet you think that means pretty tough.
Yeah. Perfect teeth. Great line. So those two are absolutely amazing. Before too long, we get Frank and we'll go through the movie a little bit. We'll get Frank and Freddy down in the cellar floor of the Uneeda, and this is where we see for the first time, Nick, the trioxin barrel with the zombie, and this is basically right before the title sequence kicks in, and he's explained to Freddy that the government made basically bio zombies to basically fight wars, more or less, and it was a failed experiment, and somehow or another the army slipped up and sent those bodies to the Uneeda medical supply. They just and Bert just decided to keep the zombies on the basement instead of returning them.
Yeah.
God knows why. I guess Bert, being the man he was like, hey, we may be able to flip these later on. I don't know.
Well, I feel like it was kind of implied that warehouse isn't quite on the up and up. So even just for the army to come get it, he's like, I don't want them seeing this shit.
So one thing I want to talk about real quick is what's really cool. The effects of this movie were modest. There is a wild history with what happened behind the scenes. Getting, I think Sauce, you should know better than me, or at least as good as me. I think the guy's name was William or Bill Munns.
Bill Munn, M-U-N-N, yeah.
Bill Munn. So they hired a guy to do this special effects for this movie, Nick, and I have this fantastic book. Again, the book is even better than the documentary. It's called The Complete History of Return of the Living Dead. It's a great book, and they talk all about how shitty basically Bill Munns was, but it was a modest film. Wikipedia has it listed at a $4 million budget. I don't know where all that budget went. The movie certainly looks like a nicely made film, but they hired this guy to make zombie makeup effects. They hired this guy to make skeletons coming out from the ground. And there are images of what Bill Munns did for this movie where he took basically, I don't know, sauce blankets and spray painted them yellow and threw some dirt on them and cut eye holes out of it and called it a zombie mask.
It was, well, I mean, the big thing was with the cadaver zombie. Like, he built the body up over the stunt guy's head. So, like, the shoulders started at, like, the top of the guy's actual head. And they were, like, eye holes, so he could see through the body. Like, it's horrendous looking. Like, if you guys have a chance to just, like,
I have the book. Yeah, I have the book. I'm looking really quick on Google right now, but I can't find it. But I'll have to share an image of it, maybe in post. It's awful. It is just completely awful. Long story short, though, he wasn't cutting it. So midway through the film, they fired him, and they brought in Tony Gardner to do some special effects. They brought in Kenny Myers, who is super talented, and Kenny worked on part 2. And you can say what you want about part 2. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but to deny the effects and the zombie makeup isn't fantastic on that film is bullshit.
The only thing, like, he did as good a job as he could. Bill Stout said, if you use any of my designs, I will sue the pants off you.
Yes.
So they had to change everything. That's why Tarman looks like garbage. He looks like to steal a term, a dime store mummy.
Yeah.
The way he walks and everything. And I think that is Trotman, but the design was different enough that he couldn't do the same stuff because Trotman is fantastic and this one is Tarman.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, just to clarify, it is William Munns. It's M-U-N-N-S. So
Munns. Okay.
I was wrong.
Yeah. But. And he's got interviews online. You can find him. He's not really a mean guy. I kind of feel bad for him because
he's a droopy kind of just, I tried. I did my best.
Well, he got fired. And there's a really funny story, Nick, to give you a little bit of, this is the kind of personality Dan O'Bannon had. He was eccentric, loud, brash. He would very mean. I mean, this was during the time where directors like William Friedkin were shooting guns on the set of The Exorcist to sneak a reaction to use in the film because people weren't given the reactions he wanted. You could never do that kind of stuff. When Kenny Myers talked about taking the place, he interviewed to be on the movie and to finish doing the effects after William Munns got fired. Kenny Myers tells the story of walking in to the set, meeting Dan O'Bannon, and Dan says, "This is what I need done in my movie. I need this, this, and this." And Kenny says, "I looked over the run sheet that he had. I looked at the run sheet, and I looked back at Dan, and I said, 'Sure, no problem.'" And he says, Dan goes, "Don't say no problem. The last guy said that." and Kenny said, "I instantly shit my pants," and I'm like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And then he goes, "Then I basically said, 'Okay, when do we start?' or something," and then we did the movie." But I just pictured Dan O'Bannon losing his shit every 5 seconds. I guess we could bring this up now. Nick, I'm sure you're just learning about all this stuff on this episode.
I am.
Sauce, can you tell Nick, me, and the audience the relationship between one Dan O'Bannon and one Clu Gulager?
Well, they definitely didn't hit it off. I mean, that's to say the least. O'Bannon had a certain style. I think this was his first, picture as a director.
Yes.
And Clu, of course, goes way back to like those B movie Western, half-hour features where each guy in that era has like 70 or 80 movies he was in. So he's been doing things a certain way for a very long time. He's kind of set in his ways, and he's a brash cat. If you ever hear any interviews with him, not that he's a prick or anything, but so they just like from the get-go butted heads. And at one point, there's a scene later in the movie where the character Bert has like a lead pipe. And now for him to bash, they also had a rubber version, but for looks, of course, when he's walking around, he's carrying a real one. Really? So after they cut, Dan says to one of the prop guys or something, "You got to get that goddamn pipe away. He's going to fucking bash my brains in with it."
Yeah. They hated each other. Clu would fire back at Dan because Clu had been in Hollywood a long time. And Clu was like, "You don't talk to actors this way, you son of a bitch." I believe there was one moment in the film there's one moment during the filmmaking where Clu got extremely pissed off at the way Dan was talking to the actors, and Dan walked out of a door, and Clu grabbed a can and hummed the can at the door, and the can hit the door as soon as Dan had just shut the door, and apparently you just hear this massive boom. And yeah, they did not get along at all. But when you watch the More Brains, I can't tell if Clu is just trolling, but he was like, "We never fought, none of this happened, everybody's full of shit." But everybody's talking about them brawling, fighting, cussing matches in each other's faces. Look, I'm not trying to say Dan O'Bannon is God's gift to mankind, but look, when you get super talented people, and I think Dan O'Bannon is certainly a super talented guy, a lot of these guys, they don't have that left brain, right brain thing properly where, the average person, there's cognition on one side of the brain and social, normalcies that people have, how to talk, how to act, how to respect each other. And then there's the other side of the brain, creativity. Well, you have some people that have way more water in their creativity cup and not so much water in their cognition cup. And I think Dan was one of those guys where he was so creative, he was so driven, and so because there's some movies I can tell you about called The Resurrected he directed, such great movies. But I think Dan didn't have that cognition part of his brain. There was not an equilibrium. So I do think that he didn't really know how to talk with people, how to treat people. I don't think he was purposely a dick. He was just so brilliant that some of these guys, I mean, they just don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah. I've got a similar thing. It's like, just think of it though as like both my cups are empty.
No creativity, and you don't know how to talk to people.
I mean, I'd say that's accurate, right?
That sounds pretty equal to me. Oh God. So let's keep going a little bit. One thing I want to talk about, Nick. So Nick, do you remember in the film, the famous line, "Don't you worry that these tanks could break. Nah, this is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers."
Bam. Yep.
The tank seal breaks. Do you remember that great
Oh,
shot?
fuck!
Do you remember the great shot of seeing the zombie behind the glass, and all of a sudden
yeah,
the great way that they did that, you saw that it looked like the flesh was melting off.
Yep.
That was done with the hair dryer.
Yeah, it was.
Go ahead, Sauce. Go ahead.
It was a wax kind of mock-up of the zombie face, and they melted it off and then like played it in reverse. I believe,
Yes.
right? Is that how that went? Or no, it couldn't have been because they melted it.
No, they played it and they sped up the tape basically.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
and the fact that the top of the barrel cracks was just a happy accident. The glass got too hot.
Mm-hmm. But now you talk about a brilliant effect, and that was an accident that the glass cracked and stuff like that, but it was kept in the film and it worked.
And a very similar effect was done Nightmare 2 at the end of Freddy. More or less the same effect, the same thing when his face melts off.
That's it.
People used to be so goddamn creative, man. Like,
yeah.
Now it's just like, hey, can you type
get on your computer?
Can you type in a bunch of code to make this thing?
Just a brilliant time, man. I mean, this was the mid '80s. There was nothing but practical effects, and the legends that worked on these films. Tony Gardner was a young kid. Tony Gardner would go on to design. He took over doing Chucky after a number of the films. Tony Gardner is an amazing special effects artist. Now, Nick, on this film, he did probably the best effect in the movie, the half corpse that sits on the table.
Dude, that thing scared the shit out of me. I mean, and even just rewatching it today was like, I'm sitting there like, this is definitely uncomfortable, because it's just like, especially when it's like just freaking the hell out near the end of the movie, and it's just like brains. I'm like, dude, what? And the fucking spine's acting like a tail, and I'm just like, what is happening? It's unsettling. Yeah. It's very well done.
Yeah, before we get to that part of the movie, let's talk a little bit about, so after this is where we start to meet the cast of the film. And one thing I want to say about this movie that I think it does so incredibly well is some of my favorite movies have great music from the motion pictures, what I would call it, where they basically use songs from bands to put in the movies. And for instance, Nightmare 4 has a killer music from the motion picture soundtrack. But here's the thing. A movie like Nightmare 4 has an original soundtrack that is for the movie, and then they kind of have songs placed in the movie. Some songs work really well to aid the scenes, but I don't think anything like what Return of the Living Dead did so well is have the great Francis Haynes score, where you hear the trioxin theme right after the barrel breaks, and then throughout the movie you hear songs from bands, and this movie uses those songs like an original score so well. Like those songs, the rock songs, the punk songs, are the blanket for the scene. They set the tone for the scene the way an original score from a composer would do. I never seen a movie do it so well. I mean, Nick, I'm sure you noticed is this movie is laced with real, not no Green Day, not no Blink-182. I'm talking real punk rock.
Oh, yeah, it's prevalent throughout. Yeah.
And such a great score. We'll talk about the score a little bit, but let's get to the graveyard scene, which is obviously another just stellar part of the film. Nick, take us off. Do you have any standout moments from the graveyard scene?
Oh, man. They all look really sweaty. Yeah, that's what stands out to me. They're all kind of doing their own thing, trying to have fun with sticks and things. Don't really know what everybody's doing. They're all kind of doing their own thing. And then, Miss Quigley.
Trash.
Trash. She's got a standout moment there. At first, you're watching it and you're like, obviously, you're supposed to get a vibe from this character that she's a little wild. She's different. And she's like talking about, the worst way to die, and like old men surrounding her while she's like groping herself. And I'm like, what is about to happen?
Talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I know. And yeah, right. But then, she's just like, let's get naked. And I wasn't mad. So yeah, that's a standout for sure.
She was rocking those leg warmers, dude. I tell you.
She was. They were the last thing to come off. I don't even know if they came off.
They didn't come off.
They didn't come off. Yeah. She took, I'm like, she's taking everything off, but the damn leg warmer's like, all right. But yeah, the thing that stands out to me is I think in 2021, you could not have that much extended nudity. I really don't think you could in a mainstream motion picture, because she's naked like the whole movie.
Yeah. Not in that light, certainly.
Yeah. And you see quite a bit. So I was just, it's obviously the 80s were different, but yeah, it was different, man. It took some risks.
And probably my favorite song from the soundtrack is from SSQ. It's called Tonight. Now that's the great song that plays while Trash is dancing on the cemetery, the big plot. And funny thing is SSQ, the singer was named Stacy Q, and the band, she was helping produce that band's record at the time, and they brought her in because she was a great singer. She eventually went solo, but still kept her band, and she then became Stacy Q and had some pretty good hits in the 80s. So just a funny little tidbit there.
Well, addendum to your tidbit. DJ Tanner actually gets in trouble for skipping school to go meet Stacy Q in an episode of Full House, and gets found out because Michelle notices her and walks right over to her while she's trying to hide from Joey. I'll leave. It's okay.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that episode. Now I have to go see it.
And to everybody watching, Christian totally set me up to talk about Linnea Quigley there. He totally was like, you can be the one to fawn over that scene. Like, hey,
yeah, we're grown. Look, we're grown ass men.
I know. I'm just kidding.
We love beautiful women. I tell you this, man. I'm not going to objectify Linnea Quigley too much, but I will say, to me, this is the best she ever looked in a movie. Down. I mean, I think she's awesome in Night of the Demons, but to me, still, there's just no comparison. She was sculpted by God in this movie, and he broke that mold. And dude, she was a goddess in this movie. I just love Linnea in this movie. Sauce, I know we can't see your camera, so hopefully your hands are above the desk.
I won't tell.
As long as we don't hear it.
Yeah, it's the thing is too. I don't want it to sound weird, but like to what you're saying is how many when you see thousands of horror movies, you've seen a lot of nudity, and a lot of it's just like whatever. It's a horror movie, Yeah,
it's nice. Sure.
This is different, like she looks awesome. You're just kind of like you have to be like, hey, dude, give it up. Like that's I don't know how you look like that, but that's quite impressive. Like.
And Sauce, let's bring you in, Sauce, for some other facts we could share to Nick and the audience. Nick, did you know that Linnea Quigley did have latex prosthetics on her in her scene when she was dancing naked on the tombstone?
Okay, this is so. I was wondering that. Because I felt like at times you could kind of notice almost like. I don't know.
Where's her vagina?
Yeah. Like you could notice because it's so like brightly lit. You're just kind of like you can see everything, and it's like at times it's like, what is that weird like crease or like wrinkle there? You know what I mean? You're kind of like that's weird looking. So I was gonna ask that, but yeah.
Let me set
a rule though, right?
Let me set this up for you, and I'll let Sauce finish the story. When she was doing the scene, it was written that she was naked. This was the 80s. They start shooting the scene. Dan O'Bannon says, Jesus Christ, somebody shave this woman. So they I say they shaved her. Linnea probably did her thing, came out, and then Dan starts filming and says, Jesus Christ, you can see everything now.
Yeah.
Sauce, take it away.
So yeah, from there, then they went, "Hey, sweetheart, we know we shaved you down and embarrassed you twice already. We're gonna do a third because now we need to make a mold of your vagina, basically like a pre-flesh light kind of thing, but very similar in concept. So that would kind of go over everything. What they call on the set anyway, a Barbie doll piece. So yeah, that's why it looks." Very smooth for 85, but also very uncanny valley. Like, well, that's not. I've seen one of those before, and that's not.
And look, anybody that's watched that movie, and if you even dare comment like, "Hey, I never really noticed that before,"
you're full of shit. I watched it for the first time today in almost like 10 years, probably, and I noticed it like within 5 seconds.
Well, let me see how hard you were noticing Linnea in this film. What were they holding in their hands, dancing around her?
No clue.
They were holding sticks with fire. They're sticks that they lit on fire.
I was going to say sticks, but I didn't want to be wrong. And I also just wanted to, drive the point home that I wasn't paying attention to really anything else.
Yeah, it was there were road flares.
Because he did mention that he had road flares. Yeah,
and good old Brian Peck talks in More Brains how the shit kind of melted onto him and burnt his hand. I think he says he still has a scar from that.
Well, since you mentioned that, can you? All right, so let's get to the part now where Brian Peck is a piece of shit. I really want to be let in on this.
Are we ready for that?
Hold on. I want to save that for just a little bit longer because it's going to take a few minutes because we have to talk about Nickelodeon with this. It's deep, and I'll talk about it because I think the people need to know about it. Yeah. So let's talk about a few other standout scenes really quick. Here's a small moment in the film, but I just love it to death. So. The outbreak first off, we got to talk about Ernie Kaltenberner's scene where the guys show up and the famous line, what do you have in the bags?
Rabid weasels.
Rabid weasels.
The delivery on Clue's part was he pauses, thinks it over, and delivers with all bit of gusto. Rabid weasels. And then Kalfa, being the man he's like, let me just shoot him, put him out of their misery. No, you can't do that. No.
It's so funny too because it's like, what did you really? How did you think that was gonna go? Because at every turn you're like, well, you see, I can't do that. We can't do that. You just trust me. Like, and he's like, well, wait, why burn them? Why let them, why make them suffer? You can't let a living, creature suffer like that. I'm take them outside and shoot them. I'm like, it's really funny how it plays out, but it's also like the whole time as the viewer, you're just kind of like, I mean, you might as well just be honest. Yeah. Like,
and we got to talk about, I don't know if this is like the funniest thing in the world to me, or if this is literally how morticians are. We see after the shit's hit the fan, they've got the cadaver, the head's cut off, they chopped it into bits and pieces. The famous, you mean the movie lied? When they cut, I just think that's brilliant. That's so brilliant on Dan's part to meta Night of the Living Dead into this the way it did. I don't know that I had seen a movie do it like that before or since, quite frankly. I'm sure there are some that have tried, but not to that perfect balance that this movie did. But we see Bert get up on his ladder, look out the window, and says, sometimes old Ernie works late on Friday nights. We cut to Ernie cutting into a dead fat man listening to opera music.
Yes.
I don't like, there's something very weird about that. Maybe all morticians listen to opera. I don't know. Anybody that listens to opera in general to me is just bizarre.
I think it's very on the nose. I think it's supposed to almost be like this guy, like your initial reaction is he's a mortician working late, cutting people open, opera, weird, right? He's a weirdo. So I think it's on the nose like that on purpose. But yeah, it's on the nose in a different way. I guess it's not on the nose. It's subtext. But that's a German composer. I want to say Wagner, but I don't know. I don't remember. But if you also remember when he pulls the gun on Bert,
That's a
Yes.
Mauser.
Yep.
So it's all these like little German things. Ernst Kaltenbrunner was a Nazi officer.
High ranking too, apparently.
High ranking, yeah. So all these little things, it's kind of suggested. Well, yeah, he's a mortician. They keep weird hours. He can kind of keep his face, from the public eye. He's a Nazi war criminal hiding out.
He's a Nazi mortician
in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, in Louisville. So that whole thing is great. Here's a funny tidbit for you, Nick. So James Karen, who was Frank, did not want to become a zombie in this film. He kind of like let go in part 2 because he wasn't really close with. I don't think he was as close with Ken Wiederhorn as much, and Ken just wasn't interested in hearing other ideas the way Dan O'Bannon was. Because Dan and James Karen had a pretty good relationship. Because funny thing was, James Karen was cast for this movie, I think, before anybody, because he liked him and Toby Hooper were friends. They worked together on Poltergeist. You moved the headstones, left the bodies. That guy, that's James Karen from Poltergeist. So Toby was like, dude, I got to work with you again. So Dan O'Bannon, when he got onto the project, apparently James Cameron says he talked to Dan O'Bannon. Was like, hey, I know that Toby already cast me. If you don't want to use me, I understand, but I am excited about the project. And Dan, being the man he was, smart guy, was like, no, you're great. You got to stay in this movie. So in the movie, the original script that Dan penned turned James Karen into a zombie, but James didn't want to do that. So James Karen was like, I want to burn myself in that furnace. I don't want to be and so he tells Dan, says, well, how do you know how to operate that thing? How would you know how to operate it in the movie? And James Karen says, very easy. I want you to get a shot of me when they're burning the body parts of the cadaver. Get a shot of me. And I'm sure you remember this in the movie. Get a shot of me saying, some favor, I could operate that goddamn thing.
Yep.
So that was James Karen's idea, and that's why. And it's really a brutal scene. There's a great song. It's like, and burn in the flames.
Rocky Erickson's "Burn the Flames."
Yeah,
it's an amazing song. It's beautiful.
I'll show it really quick. I listened to this on the regular. This is the original soundtrack on vinyl for Return of the Living Dead, and amazing. Jet Blackberries, The Damned, Tall Boys, SSQ. Amazing. This is probably one of the best soundtracks in a horror movie fucking ever, man.
Yeah, I was just say that's probably the album or whatever that I spun most often my senior year of high school.
Oh, brilliant, man.
But do you know the reason why James Karen didn't want to become a zombie?
Remind me.
Actually, because he's I'm a little older. I don't want to be sitting out there in the rain and all that junk. It's as simple as that. Well, I think I could pitch this to him. Let me bring this to him.
Well, and hearing that story now, it's like it kind of makes more sense, because I was thinking when I was rewatching it, I was like, oh yeah, he does just kind of run out of the chapel. Like, there's everybody around. He could try to attack just like, Freddy was and eat brains, but he just sneaks out like, fuck this. And I'm just kind of like, that's weird.
Goes back up to the furnace. Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah, but that whole scene is kind of beautiful, though, because like he gets down and he prays, he takes his wedding band off.
Yeah.
It's brutal, man, but it's done so well. I mean, I forget how moving the scene is, but again, it's still in line with this just beautifully symmetrically layered movie that, it takes you on waves of emotions, but it's never jarring. It's never too much. It's not like Halloween Kills, for instance, where it's like fucking guy just kills himself because he's a mental patient that's wrongfully thought of as Michael Myers. And then a few minutes ago, you got a Big John dancing to a Halloween song in his drawers. You say, so this movie, and I hate to bring up Halloween Kills because we're not doing Halloween. It's November. We're not doing, but my point is, this movie is just so damn good. And I'm so proud to have this. I'm sure Sauce is as well. I'm so proud to have this as my favorite movie, because I will put this movie up against anything. I really will. And I'm not saying it's the best movie ever, but pound for pound, I mean, Nick, I'm sure you could agree. Is there anything to complain about with Return of the Living Dead, for God's sakes?
No, Nothing really comes to mind except we've kind of already addressed it, which is Tina feeling like she didn't really belong. But like aside from that, not really. No, I didn't. I have gone back and watched older movies that I haven't seen in a while and been like, Jesus, why did I like that when I was younger?
Right.
I did not have that at all. I'm sitting there like,
this is damn good.
Yeah, like this, you're just entertained the whole time. And honestly, the thing with this movie you're thinking about is how in the fuck would you survive this? I mean, this isn't The Walking Dead. Oh, let me shoot you once you're dead. Cool. Like that's an easy zombie apocalypse, in my opinion, to survive. This is not.
It's kind of my favorite part of the movie is that you spend all this time. Well, what would I do here? What would I do there? And then by the end, you're like, oh, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's honestly kind of haunting.
Someone else is going to make that choice for you.
Yeah. It's a really creepy kind of way to, not the very end, but leading up to the very end of the movie where they're in the attic and, he's just like taunting Tina, about how he's going to get up there. And he's like, oh, look what you made me do. You made me break off my hand or whatever. And it's just kind of like, you feel like no matter where you go, because throughout the movie, how many times does Ernie or somebody say, well, let's go in this room. Let's board this up. Okay, now we're good. Now we're good. Now we're good. Oh, if we go up there, no one can get in. We're good. And like throughout the movie, every failsafe that you thought you had, it fails and you're not safe. And it's just kind of like, well, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Sauce.
I just want to throw this out here before it gets, too old. It's already a stale comment, but this movie kind of has, it's like the Warehouse tagline. You need it, we got it. You want laughs, you get laughs. You want horror, you got horror. Blood, zombies, breasts, butts, sentimental moments. Like, it's got everything. It really does.
Right. You're damn right. There's a few more moments that I want to talk about silly moments, small moments that make me laugh. And it's like almost this little scene. It like lets you step back for a second, get out of this darker portrait that Dan O'Bannon is setting up. You remember the part of the movie, Nick, where we all of a sudden we see this beautiful house, this gorgeous house out in this nice neighborhood, and all of a sudden we go inside of this house and you've got this military agent. You can tell he's a high-ranking guy, and the wife, and she gets in there, and all of a sudden you see the guy go upstairs, open up these two doors, and all of a sudden all these lights and stuff are going off, and you're like, what is going on? And you hear him on the phone just saying, hey, I'll be here all night, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, how long do we have to have that equipment in here? We have to find the tanks. And that lets you know that
microwave stuff affects my ovens.
Yeah. And so my favorite part. So this guy is clearly aggravated. You could tell his ass is on the line. We've got to find these barrels. And all of a sudden the wife says, the husband's like, what's for dinner? Oh, your favorite lamb chops.
Had that for
lunch.
And then if you look at the wife's face, the quick, it's a funny ass moment. I love that moment. It's like taking a break real quick from the insanity that's going on, letting you get a light moment for a second. But damn it, whenever we get to those scenes, I'm always just so excited because he is pissed. Just, Christ, Ethel, I don't know. Yeah. And then he feels bad, so he lightens up. Look, we've been through this before now. Just that actor was brilliant. Hey, he killed it in that role as the colonel or as the general. I love those moments so much. There's another moment I want to bring up too in this movie that I love. I mean, we'll kind of gloss over this because we talked about the scene previously before that. Obviously, when the paramedics show up, which are named Tom and Jerry. I don't know that you hear their names so much I'm sure you do in the movie, but certainly in the credits, and you learn about it in the documentary. Tom and Jerry, the paramedics, show up. Frank and I'm sorry, Tom Matthews, Freddie, right?
Freddie,
yeah.
They're turning blue. They're starting to look dead as hell. Everybody's freaking out. The zombies start invading. One thing that's great about this film is like, dude, these zombies, and I can't without certainty say this was the first movie to do it, but certainly the first one I ever watched. Dude, these zombies got some pep in their step.
Yeah,
these zombies.
I'm pretty confident to say this is the first.
Yeah. And that's what makes this film so great and puts serious levity to it. Like you were talking about, Nick, the failsafe. Add this onto the list. These zombies are going to track your ass down, and they're going to swing, kick, claw, punch. I mean, these zombies punched windows. How many other zombie movies do that? I mean, so talk about raising the stakes, you know.
They're
Fantastic.
smart. I mean, they're very smart. I mean, too, that when you talk about that, I think of the first instance saying send more paramedics and then send more cops. It's like they're smart enough to, because they were alive at one point. So it would be realistic that if they were reanimated by something else that caused them to essentially be living dead, they would still have some semblance of memory of being a living, a person. So it would make sense for them to just the whole movie. So it's just kind of like, and I like the whole scene where they're talking to like the half corpse and they're like, what is it about brains? And it's just like, well, brains, it's the only thing that will take the pain away. And it's like, brains? Like, okay. But no,
brilliant. Yeah. So obviously the setup at that point is great. We're going to talk about, we can't not talk about in my opinion, it's really not even close. I think maybe Bub is in the ballpark, but without question, Tarman is the greatest horror movie zombie I think ever created. I mean, how many t-shirts, everything Tarman has spawned. The line, more brains. Nick, I mean, think about it. And Sauce, you think about it. After that, how many anything zombie related, whether it be on TV shows or whatever, say brains?
Oh, that became what they were known for.
Yep.
Like that pulled them into the pop culture, I guess, and that became.
And it's hard to think of. It's really hard to think. I mean, you made a good point of like many zombies that stood out as not just being another zombie. I mean, you have Tarman, you have Bub.
You got the cemetery zombie from Night.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can't think of one past that.
That's what I'm saying.
The asshole from the gas station guy from Land is the only, and he's not he's not in the same stratosphere as the other three, though.
Yeah, and it's like after that, you're just kind of like the rest of them are just take them or leave them. They're just zombies. But he's got character. I mean, the look is just, it's fucking it. That shit's burned into your brain. Like he is like excited for brains.
Yeah.
Oh, live brains. And it's like, and he's just so smart. She gets in the fucking locker and he's like, well, let me pull this bitch off.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like, and then you just get a great kill when they all come downstairs and he just chomps, man.
Suicide.
That
bite.
It's like a nice bite of an apple.
Yeah. Also reminds me of when they're breaking into the house and he gets the dude on the head and you just have the blood gag where it's just shooting out or it's the half corpse that's biting into his head, just shooting out like fucking, oh man, that was so gnarly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the paramedic, when they find his body and it's just like, get this close-up shot of these brains with like a concave skull and you're just like, oh yeah, that's gnarly.
Yeah. We gotta give a little shot of praise to Alan Trotman, the gentleman who portrayed the character, because he gave the costume itself. If you really get to look at it, there are great parts of it design wise, but without the performance, it would have been so silly. But Trotman was able to give it. The thing about Tarman is he looks like he's hanging on by a thread. He's literally melting away. Yeah. So that weird sway where if somebody even poked him, he would crumble. So brilliant. I mean,
there's something about his movements that remind me of it's not a bad thing. It reminded me of a Mario character.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of those like caterpillars with the hats. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Those little, like the yellow ball caterpillars, or the cacti, I guess, would be the same thing. But that's I do, for whatever reason, get a lot of that same feel to his motion. I'm certainly not scared of that caterpillar.
And certainly a great moment after Tarman has killed Suicide and ran everybody off. Well, they try to return back later, and there's a moment where they stop Clue at the door. And like, no, there's a zombie in there that's a deadly one. So Clue grabs the baseball bat, and there's a great scene where they open up the door. Tarman arrives, and Clue just knocks a home run and just creams Tarman's head right off.
That noise, that rah!
And I believe Sauce, you probably remember as much as I do. I think Mark Venturini was talking to Miguel Nunez, like, man, this bullshit. Why do I have to die in this movie, man? Why can't we just kill? Why can't we just kill Tarman? Why can't we just kill him, man? I mean, he's just a zombie. And Miguel's like, hey, it's in the script, dog.
Yeah.
It was sad to see Suicide die in this movie, but at the same time, I think it really gave levity to Tarman as a monster to take out the biggest of the bunch, you know. So let's pick it back up here again. If you were at the privilege of seeing the Patreon exclusive live, you've seen what happens when we try to record podcasts. This is probably why Sauce does a show by himself, because it's like you only got one person to worry about. You don't have to worry about all Nick's shit breaking.
Guys, I think that's the first time the laptop's crashed when we've recorded this. Okay, every other time it's my wife or my mom or my brother or whoever the fuck's staying at my house.
Hey, that's not true. That's not true, actually. Do you remember the Nightmare on Elm Street with Sauce, as a matter of fact? Halfway through the podcast, you had to use your audio from your camera.
Oh, you're right.
That's right.
Maybe Sauce is bad luck for you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, fucking bad luck to myself, so.
All right, so here's a few more moments I want to talk about in the film. Here's another kind of a behind the scenes type scenario. So there's a certain part of the movie where you see Miguel Nunez's character and Don Calfa kind of come face to face in the embalming room again. And there's a moment where Miguel's character starts losing it, and you see Don Calfa just wham, slap him right in the face. Twice. In the script, it called for one time. And go ahead and tell them the story of what happened, Sauce, behind the scenes, because this is a great behind the scenes moment.
So basically, it just got to, I don't know if it's because they had done the scene so many times, but there was tension, you know, and it called for it in the scene anyway. So it's not like it was a bad thing. But I feel like it's a similar thing to like Betsy Palmer and Friday the 13th as well, just to kind of tie it together to something that, a story people might have heard. Clue's probably done some stage acting too, but also, you know, 40s and 50s cowboy shit. Shout out Adam Page. You know, fucking in movies you don't have to hit people, but on the stage you have to, like, because the audience needs to hear that sound. And I feel like maybe the Foley repertoire wasn't as good in the 40s and 50s, so I feel like there was some smacking going on back in those days too. But he just kind of got in the heat of the moment. He just cracked Miguel twice, just 1, 2, and he didn't break his nose, but he gave him a bloody nose. He said, "What the fuck, dude?" But he wanted to fight him.
Yeah, and here's something to add to that too. I didn't watch the movie today, but this morning I watched the More Brains documentary again. And Clue Gallagher talked about he went up to Don Calfa after numerous takes and they weren't getting it right. He went up to Don Calfa and told Don, hey, when you go up and do this scene, slap him twice. Don't tell him, but slap him twice. So that's why you get the one, boom, boom, and he hits him hard that second time. That's a great moment. That's why I love Don and the Calfa in this movie so much. He has some another thing. Do you remember when they pull the zombie hand out of the bag in the beginning of the movie and it grabs his foot? Yeah. There's a moment where he doesn't even yell for a second. He looks up at everybody with them big ass eyes, and then finally, get it off! Don't just stand there. Get it off! Oh man! And then after everything, they've cooled everything down. Don goes and sits down, and Clue Gallagher's character says, "Are you going to help us?" He looks at Clue for a second, looks back down, takes a good 30, 40 seconds to get a pair of scissors, cut his pants, and then answers him. He just, that's why I love Don in this movie so much. He don't even answer him right away. He just says, he sits there and he's like, I'm gonna do my shit first, then I'll fucking answer you. I love Don Calfa. And there's another movie he is so funny in. It's called Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah,
where he's trying to track down the kids. That, oh man, Don Calfa is so funny in that movie. And it's even weirder seeing him in that movie because he has hair in that movie. So I didn't realize how much they kind of thinned him out for this movie and stuff. But
and he didn't have it in Weekend at Bernie's, but he auditioned for the movie. He had a big, thick mustache.
Yeah.
And Dan goes, the mustache. He's like, it's gone. It's gone.
It's gone. Oh man, Don is so good in this movie.
And I do feel like an asshole because I was talking about Kluguliger, but yeah, it was Don Calfa that smacked him, and I think he is a New York actor, if I'm not mistaken. So it would make more sense that he did do stage shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I feel stupid.
But so many great moments. I'm trying to think about some other ones that stand out. There was a moment where, Nick, do you remember the part where one of the actors, I can't remember who it was, runs out to the paramedic, the ambulance vehicle, and when they shut the door, there was a legitimate dwarf person.
Yes.
With no legs.
It's like hopping toward the motherfucker. Yeah, dude.
And do you notice that he starts running and he busts his ass, but the camera cuts it right before he totally eats shit in the scene. Like, he starts running and you see him going down, but they cut just fast enough to where you don't see it. But that's a legitimate, dwarf person. They got to do that.
One of the scariest scenes in the movie.
And that's what I was going to say. It's terrifying.
It reminds me of Freaks.
1932 Freaks? Yeah.
And that movie, I watched it once. I will never watch it again. That still terrifies me.
That's one of my wife's favorites.
Oh,
she loves Freaks.
God.
But moments like that make this movie so great. Another part of the movie when the "Do You Want to Party" song, "Do you want to party?" That's another classic song from the movie. Probably 45 Grave. Great. I've got some of their records now. This movie has blessed me with falling in love with so many bands. Without Return of the Living Dead, I wouldn't be a Cramps fan. I wouldn't be a Jet Black Berries fan. I wouldn't be a 45 Grave fan. I wouldn't be an SSQ. I love the album that came out. Yeah. Jesus, man. So every song, the soundtrack, I urge everybody, they've re-released it on vinyl. Or I urge everybody to pick up the soundtrack to this movie because there's something for everybody on that soundtrack too. I mean, so many good songs. It's unbelievable. Just a brilliant film. I guess we can start wrapping it up. We've talked about a lot of my favorite moments.
Really
Go
quick,
ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say to Christian and Sauce, I'm sure you guys remember, this is probably one of your favorite parts of the movie when, right before they just blow that town to shit, little does the military know, everyone has banded together and they all start chanting "Evil Dies Tonight" in the streets. My favorite part of the whole movie, man.
Which cut of the film do you have?
Well, that's why they went ahead with the code,
with the bombing.
Yeah. All right, fuck this shit. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be? So I need to edit Halloween Kills and Return of the Living Dead and have the chanting going on, and then all of a sudden you go to that guy in that little bunker deep in the middle of nowhere. He's like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." Yeah. Do you remember the code he was saying?
It was Archimedes, hot dog, something or other. Yeah, I don't remember the whole thing.
Rhubarb.
Yeah.
Rhubarb. Yep. Yep.
Which is all code words stuff, right? And that guy's performance right there, brilliant. That such a small moment.
He sold the shit out of that. Yeah.
He was so good. He pulled out his remember he got the little booklet. He pulled that little booklet through the pages. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Rhubarb.
The thing is about being someone like that, you would have to be that way. You're literally a trigger man. Like you don't think about anything. You just go, all right, hell yeah, where am I firing this shit at? Like, yeah, he sold the shit out of that.
Yeah, and dude, that missile goes off, and I love how it ends with the colonel, and be like, yes, sir, only probably a few hundred deaths were
He said about 4,000 dead,
4,000 dead. It was pretty good.
Don't worry about the fires, the rain will put that out.
Yeah.
Which would entail that it's actually going to start everything all over again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's among others, and we're talking about the first film, but that was a big misstep. Maybe not like Halloween 2, maybe not picking up right where it left off, but and to not play off that in any regard is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of the sequels. At least to my knowledge. If I have, it's been a really long time.
I'd say watch both. Watch both of them.
Oh yeah, I thought you saw 2, Nick. This is part 2. I just brought these to show.
No, and that's the thing that's the one that I think I may have seen is part 2 because of the Fright Night looking poster. Yeah.
Part 2 it's James Karen and Freddy again, and it's like a meta universe to the first film. It kind of starts all over again. They're working at they go and basically rob the jewelry off of zombies, grave robbers. And it's a much lighter tone. This is the part 2, which I love because it's a great movie in its own right. It actually does some cool stuff with kid actors. It's not as good as the first one, but I think it's a little misunderstood. And then the legendary, which I think more people that I know like this one more than 2, Return of the Living Dead 3, which is fucking amazing. I mean, it really is great. I mean, it's a Romeo and Juliet take with 2,4,5 trioxin. This is a great movie. You have to see this one.
I know I haven't seen that one.
So I'd say as far as 3 goes, I think I would like that better than 2 if anybody else had done the effects.
They're very modest.
It looks like something that you guys would pull together, like
Uncle Jerry,
like a region free opening.
No, dude, it's Uncle Jerry.
Uncle Jerry, maybe. One thing I will say about 2, I mean, say what you want, especially the people that aren't fans of it. Another great soundtrack. Joe Lamont's "Flesh to Flesh" is one of the most kick-ass songs. Tonight. Oh man, so good. You've got Anthrax in there. So many great tracks. I've got the vinyl for part 2 as well. That movie gave me my love for Julian Cope, who has become at least top 5 of my all-time favorite musicians ever. Part 2 is awesome. I love it, but there's only one Return of the Living Dead that Dan O'Bannon created and did everything right on a modest budget movie like that, giving the actors the ability to work with each other, to do rehearsals. That's insane that they did that. 2 weeks of rehearsals. Just, man, because you had a bunch of young actors and the ability to practice like that, I could imagine would be so helpful with doing a movie.
I mean, especially for someone like Miguel, like that's extra time that he was homeless when he was cast. So that's extra time on the set where, it's craft. Even if it's a modest craft services budget.
That's food.
Yeah. Nothing. Yeah.
I don't know if you didn't know that, Nick, but Miguel Nunez was in fact homeless when made.
Yeah, he was. The only reason I knew that though is because he was talking about it on Pizzow's channel when he did his incredible sit down with Piz.
Hey, by the way, you got 5 minutes left with me right now.
Yeah.
I can't believe you said that.
Do you mind? I got to make a sandwich while we talk too. By the way.
Yeah.
What if we start hearing a blender on from sauces?
But no, I did want to say though, it was a great idea. We had some ideas for this week, guys, that we were throwing around to do, and we were game for a few of them, and then Christian, in typical Christian fashion, a day before is like, guess what? I have this idea that I'm just really itching to do. And it was perfect because it's episode 20. It's obviously on his channel. It's his favorite movie. And I was really happy to go back and revisit it because I had a freaking blast with it. So, yeah.
Dude, it's just, I get so sporadic on YouTube. I burn myself out on stuff and I try to be consistent. But the thing about me is, man, I have to just enjoy making the videos and doing what I want to do. And dude, to do this for 20 episodes probably doesn't seem like shit to anybody else. But seriously, for me to stick with doing something like this, because I genuinely enjoy doing it, is just shocking for me. 20 episodes is just, I can't believe I've gone this far. And I was like, I've got to do Return of the Living Dead for the 20th episode. I have to. And
we will have to down the line talk about the sequels once I catch them. I know they're on HBO Max, at least part 2 is. I've seen it on there. I think part 3 is on one of the streaming services too. It might be Hulu. So
might be fucking Tubi as well. You always check Tubi for that stuff. But yeah, part 3. Part 2, I don't think is total by itself episode worthy. I mean, for me it is, but nobody would watch
just
it.
the sequels.
But part 3 is episode worthy because there's so much meat on the bone with that movie, with the performances and just Brian Usna and the making of that, which I could get nerdy about. But I would love to. I would love to do Return of the Living Dead 3 and just deep dive that son of a bitch.
Bring Sauce back on too.
Oh, absolutely.
Something that he's familiar with and passionate about.
Yeah. But Sauce, what does this movie mean to you?
Everything. I mean, honestly, like this came to me at a time where the first time I saw it, I wasn't. But by the time that I was able to go back to rewatch it because I enjoyed it, back when Netflix was, DVDs by mail only.
I remember those days,
and I had just gotten into the Misfits like maybe 3-4 months before I rewatched it, and just like every fucking song I heard captivated me, and it informed on my music taste in a lot of ways as an adult. It's informed on my music taste, on my movie tastes. I love this movie. It's one of those movies that I love showing people, because it's almost like I've never met someone that watched it and didn't like it. Maybe they didn't love it. Maybe they didn't love it. I can handle that. But I've never met someone that's watched it and said, I hate that movie.
The gore and Linnea Quigley enough. You don't even need anything else. You can't walk away and say it was a waste of time. You just can't.
No. And it's just, so it's one of those things where it's like that ace up my sleeve kind of thing that, even if, I don't like Freddy Krueger, I don't like, I don't like horror movies. So watch this. This is different. And so it's cool in that respect, but it's like no matter how down, how depressed I am, this movie will still get me to smile. I could probably watch my family get just like fucking mowed down by machine guns. Put this on and go, well, I mean,
it's not all that bad.
It could be worse.
They did live a while.
Yeah.
They had a couple years.
It's cool to hear that from people, though. You and Christian feel the same way about this movie. I mean, I really love it too, but it's nowhere near the love you guys have, obviously. But it just reminds me of, obviously, 78's Halloween. That's the movie for me. That's my favorite movie of all time, period. So, like, I totally can relate to those emotions you're talking about, because it's like that movie transports you to it. Just, I don't know. It's a ride of nostalgia. It's comfort. I don't know. It almost feels like when you're watching it, like nothing else exists. Like I didn't even notice on Halloween night, basically, when my wife got up to go to bed halfway through Halloween. And I had to like stop and go, wait, where are you going? She's like, I wish we could have watched something that wasn't boring. I was like, good night. But yeah,
you put the pillow over her face.
No, I didn't. I said something. I think I said something to Christian, like I'm going to have to get a divorce. But yeah, so it's cool. It's cool to talk about the movies that mean that much to you, because we can love hundreds of horror movies, but we all have one that is like, don't touch it. Don't remake it.
Don't disrespect it
either.
Don't
disrespect it. Yeah. Don't fuck with it.
Oh, you mentioned something. Return of the Living Dead is beyond remake proof.
No. One, I mean, like Nick said, you couldn't do this movie in a lot of ways, not just the Linnea Quigley stuff, but like there's a lot of shit you couldn't do now. To the point, like, what's wrong with this? There's as much as there's nothing wrong with Halloween 78 either, but that's such a big title that was inevitable. But like this one's, the title's not that big. It's a big movie. It's known by any horror fan that's that's got a fucking clue knows this movie, but it's not like Halloween or Friday the 13th where the name is going to get people through the door. So in that regard, it doesn't hold any cachet, and the movie's fucking perfect.
It shits on so many zombie movies. It shits on so much zombie content. I mean, it's just we talked about it earlier. It's like 90% of what you get with zombie movies, TV shows. It's the same bullshit regurgitated over and over. And this movie, you're watching it, you're like, from first glance, a half fucking dog, and then this yellow ass cadaver chase. Like, what the fuck? Like, you have no idea what you're in for when you watch this movie. It's like, it's awesome. It's fun.
You know, it's funny though, when I think of Return of the Living Dead, I don't just initially say to myself zombie movie. Like, it's not even really what comes to my mind when I think, because there's so many good things about it. It's punk rock, it's funny, it's action, there's so much to it that, like, it's just Return of the Living Dead to me. I don't even
we got it.
Exactly. I don't even think zombie. Like, especially when people tell me I'm not a big zombie movie fan, I said, perfect, you need to watch Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm not a big zombie movie fan. So
I'm really not either. And I'm also not a fast zombie fan. Like, I hate that aspect of Dawn of the Dead 04. I like the movie well enough. It's still fine. Like, I can deal with it. But these guys ran at the pace of humans. They weren't like supercharged,
World War
track
Z.
stars.
You're right.
Track stars.
No, and it was kind of like they got into the building just with relentless hunger. They needed to get those brains in there. We smell them. They're alive. We need them.
We got it.
Fucking, sheer force of will.
Yeah.
And that to me is different. That's terrifying.
Right.
They're not going to stop till they get you.
Yeah.
Yep.
This has been really fun. I want to end this. I always try to end the episode with a fun kind of question to wrap up the show with everybody. I want to end.
Totally left my wife for Linnea Quigley in 1985. If that's what you're going to ask her.
That was not what I was going to ask, but I'm glad you volunteered the information.
I'm just kidding.
So let's end it with this: 4 movies for Mount Rushmore for your zombie films. I want Sauce to go first. Sauce, you got 4 movies for the Mount Rushmore of zombie films. Which 4 movies are up there for you? And it's safe to say that you're number one on the save your number. You could rank them from 4 to 1. I'm assuming number 1 is going to be ROTLD for you, but give me your Mount Rushmore of zombie films.
It's tough. The next 2 are easy. I guess it is still pretty. Number 4, Day of the Dead. Okay. I hated that movie coming up. I
think a lot of people did.
Such a different tone from Dawn. There's not the slapstick element to Days. It's just dreary. I didn't pick up on it. It was boring. But I've come to appreciate it a lot. So that'll be 4. Night's 3. I mean, it's classic. To not put that on there, I think, is a pretty serious misstep. At least in my eyes. I mean, if it's not in yours, you could freely explain why. Like, I mean, yeah,
you can freely explain why.
But I mean, it's the OG. Without that, there are none of these other movies because this creature didn't exist before that. Zombies were like voodoo guys with voodoo spells.
It was a different element, very different element.
Number 2 would be Dawn of the Dead from '78. I love that movie just as much as really any other horror movie. Number 1, of course, Return of the Living Dead. You were nail on the head. There's not a better zombie movie than this movie.
All right. Nick, do you want to go next? You want to save you for last?
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm not doing this in any particular order. I'd have to rewatch some of these.
That's fine. Fine.
But it's Day, Night, Return, and I'm struggling here, but I'm going to go with Dawn 04 simply just because of the nostalgia with that. That was like the first zombie movie I saw. I had it on DVD when I was a kid, and I beat the shit out of that DVD. I watched it so much. But I will say, as unpopular of an opinion as this is, I really struggled with, I really like World War Z. I really do. I don't know what it is about that damn movie.
It's not going up on a Mount Rushmore.
Though. No. I'm just giving an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I do.
Did you just sigh in the background?
A little bit.
I really look.
I'm busting your chops, Nick. I know. Good. Talk about World War Z for a second.
No, I don't really need to. I mean, it's just again, very different for good or bad. It's very different than your prototypical zombie movie. And, you know, I saw it when I was a teenager when it came out, and I was just kind of like, this is cool. This isn't The Walking Dead that I'm seeing on TV every week. That's literally the same shit every week. Yeah, it was like, we can say that World War Z handled zombies a little differently in ways that maybe it shouldn't have, but I just liked some of the ingenuity. And obviously that's not really the movie. That was a novel. So you give credit to the novel, not the movie, but regardless, it was just cool to see something different. Again, though, I'm not saying that it belongs on a Mount Rushmore. I'm just saying that it's one that I do have a soft spot for, that I just wanted to give a shout out to, because I know there aren't a lot of vocal fans about that movie. I think there are a lot of people that can tolerate the movie but are afraid to say it because they think it's kind of blasphemous.
Right.
So for about half a second, Nick, I was going to start laughing at you because I had conflated World War Z with Army of the Dead.
I have not seen that yet.
Oh, boy.
I wasn't a big fan of it. I've seen Army of the Dead 10 times before. With that movie, it didn't do anything different.
I mean, it didn't do anything. Well, it did some things different that are very stupid. But well, maybe
it didn't do anything right. That's
no. It's what up?
It was kind of like Halloween Kills,
Turd.
like in terms of just like insane, weird tones throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Which I think Zack Snyder got it all. He left it all out on the field with his 04 Dawn remake.
Yes, he did. And I want to say really quick to that, I think at least with that comparison, I haven't seen Army of the Dead, so I can't speak to that. But Halloween Kills kind of knew what it was for most of the movie. It knew that it was kind of throwing everything at the wall to see what stuck, for better or worse. Whereas I feel like a filmmaker like Zack Snyder, maybe he thought he really was like painting a Mona Lisa, and it was like a stick figure.
I don't know. I don't know. I to be honest with you, I do think it's fairly self-aware. It's no offense, but Zack Snyder can shit probably anything better than David Gordon Green, in my opinion. I mean, Zack Snyder
Pineapple Express is a goddamn masterpiece.
I love Pineapple Express, but Zack Snyder is proven. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying, though. You mentioned like Dawn of the Dead 04, like not maybe you have a movie like that is just like.
Well, that's the other thing. Good. There's something to be compared to it as well already, because he's doing the same movie again, just trying to make it way bigger, and it's just played out. It's so played out by this point, man. I mean, you've got a damn TV show that's been going for like 15 seasons called The Walking Dead. I mean, it's so played out.
And that show's not even about zombies. The zombies are supporting characters. The Walking Dead is about drama.
And that's not necessarily the wrong thing to do, but I mean, I'm just talking about of sheer burnout.
No, I know. Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's just
it is a very boring show, though.
Yeah, I stopped.
I watched the pilot and then I stopped.
Christian,
I watched the pilot.
I've never finished the pilot. I have tried a good 5-6 times over the course of the first 5 or 6 years that it was out, and I fell asleep each and every time. It's so bad.
So what's your Rushmore then, Christian?
My Rushmore is so well defined. Number 4 is Day of the Dead, and I do think it's such a damn good movie. And George Romero took a risk, and that's why he's the legend that he is, because he didn't try to just repeat himself.
R.I.P.
Amazing soundtrack. Day of the Dead soundtrack is so good. Number 3 is Night of the Living Dead, because it's not a legacy entry. It's still a damn good movie. I love the original Night of the Living Dead so much. It's a damn good movie. Number 2, and I'm putting this out there right now, this film, I will take it over Dawn of the Dead every day of the week, twice on Sunday. It's one of my all-time favorites. I've been trying to get Nick to see this movie, and we're going to do an episode on it.
Oh.
Motherfucking Lucio Fulci's Zombie, one of the fucking grossest, nastiest, and best zombie movies ever made, is my number 2. And number 1 is Return of the Living Dead.
That's another sigh of relief, because I for whatever reason, I was Shaun of the Dead.
No,
and I was going to leave.
Absolutely not. No, Lucio Fulci's Zombie is probably one of the greatest zombie films ever made. It crossed the ether into the American horror. It's disgusting. Needle in the eyes, a zombie fighting a goddamn tiger shark and legitimately fighting a shark. I don't want to spoil it because I've been telling Nick this is the movie. If you're going to get into Italian horror, this is the one. And I want to do a show on it, and because there's so much meat on the bone with this movie. It's amazing.
I'll do it. Just where can I stream it?
Shudder.
Okay.
Shudder. And if not, I'll send you a fucking copy of it. I mean, this is a must-own movie. Must-own movie.
Yeah, my thing is I don't blind buy a ton anymore. I used to, but now that I have a family, it's like
without question,
wife,
you don't have to. Of course, you don't have to explain yourself. And I'll give you my Shudder account if I need to. If you don't have Shudder, but without question, Lucio Fulci's Zombie is my number 2. It's the second closest to the front with the punk rock zombie from the poster of Eternal Living Dead. That zombie's in the very front, but the main zombie on the poster of Lucio's movie is right behind him because it's close. That's probably one of my favorite movies of all time too. Is Zombie, otherwise known as Zombie 2, otherwise known as Zombie Flesh Eaters. I'll explain all that to you, Nick. But great movie. So that's my Mount Rushmore. This was fucking awesome. I love Return of the Living Dead. It's my all-time favorite movie. It's Sauce's all-time favorite movie. I had to bring him on here. And I think Nick is going to become even more.
It's one of my favorite zombie movies. And like you said, it's not even really a zombie movie. I mean, it is, but I dig it too.
Yeah. So what a great walk down memory lane. I just want to watch the movie again now. I can't. I try to space it out because I don't want it to get used to the movie too much. You know what I mean? I try to make it special when I watch it, but I'm feeling it.
Candles, gets the bottle of lotion. He's like,
all that.
Turn that picture of mom and dad backwards.
Yeah.
Sydney go in the bedroom for an hour and a half.
Yeah. All right, guys, this was fun. Sauce, I want to thank you. Sauce, tell everybody where they can find you.
You guys can find
What's your address?
Well, it's 123. Off the Grid Podcast on YouTube. That's the name of the channel, as well as the podcast. Mondays at 7:30 p.m. in the East. Other shit I got going on. Check me out there. Steak Sauce OTG on Twitter if you want to throw me a follow. And real quick, I do want to shout out the Bandero Chemical Company, fronted by one of my good friends, JV Bastard, as well as rest in peace, Jason Trioxin. Check out the band Mr. Monster for folks that have it.
All right. Nick, where can in case the people at this point don't know because they just don't look at usually when I started adding the tag the actual just tell people.
No, yeah.
just tell people.
They're here for Christian Hannah horror. But I have the YouTube channel, The Lost River Drive-In. Instagram is the same, The Lost River Drive-In. And Twitter is the Lost River DR1 because the Lost River Drive-In was taken by an actual Lost River Drive-In. So I can't really be mad, but as Christian said at the top, Christian and I have talked about it. I am also going to put these on my Patreon. I did tonight for the second tier on my Patreon as well. We want to get as many of you guys in here watching the live recordings as possible because it's a cool perk, and we both struggle to find perks. So it's a cool perk.
Hard.
Yeah, it really is, man. But so yeah, that's where you can find me. Christian, where can we find you?
I don't want anybody to find me. I don't want people. I don't want people to know where I'm at. This was fun, Nick. I want to thank you as always for making me have to edit these podcasts.
Yeah, no problem, man.
No problem. Sauce, you were an angel. Thank you. You're welcome back anytime.
You're too much.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
This was great.
I'll leave now.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you guys for listening to the 20th. God damn, the 20th episode. I can't imagine getting to 50 or 100, but
I mean, we're going to. So
I'll be so proud of myself if we do.
50's getting the Halloween Kills, guys. We're just we're gonna dissect Halloween Kills, episode 50.
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
Bring your barf bags.
Bring your gloves. Bring your goggles.
Just kidding.
Wear your cup.
Get your hands.
Exorcist 2. Oh Jesus Christ! Will the episode be as boring as the movie itself?
Yes. Yes, it will.
Let me just point the camera at a rock then for an hour and 30 and just. Anyway, this was fun. 20th episode. Thank you guys for taking the journey with us. If you're listening on Spotify, I appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I appreciate it. Make sure you got the bell done, so that way you can always keep up with these episodes on Sundays, unless I just randomly feel like dropping it on a Thursday, because sometimes Raw came on Thursday for a little while. I can drop the goddamn podcast on Thursday.
Raw Thursday.
All right, love you guys. Y'all have a great night. We'll see y'all. Bye.
This has been a production of the Uneeda Horror Podcast. You need it, we got it. Thank you for listening.